Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sad Money. This is Stephan, one half of Sad Money, and today I'm here with one of my good friends. He's an author, comedian, teacher extraordinaire, Crespo. Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm all right, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for doing it, man. Maybe to start, do you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah.
I can hold it.
Oh, you
Yeah.
want to? Okay. I'm a comedian. You already explained it better than I could. I mean, I'm from New Jersey. That's pretty much the only weird.
You're from Jersey.
Yeah, I'm from Jersey.
Okay.
Fucking Jersey. New Jersey. Yeah, I'm a New Jersey comedian.
Right.
And then I came over here, did mics here. Now I'm doing the roasts, and that's pretty much all I've been doing. And writing books. That's about it.
Hey, you're an educator, right? You teach kids.
I used to. Now I'm in between jobs at the moment.
Got you. I mean, it's summer. A lot of teachers change jobs then.
Yeah.
You were telling me something crazy before this. You said that you don't get disability. Is that true?
Yeah, I don't get disability. In fact, I got a letter from disability saying that like I owed them $5,000.
So
I don't know how
For
that
what?
happened. I don't know. I never took a dime from them, but they're saying I owe them $5,000. So now I have to go and be like, how did this happen if I never claimed disability until recently?
were they saying like you claimed money that you owe them?
Yeah, that
Okay.
I owe them that $5,000.
Okay.
So I have to go and I had to file out a complaint and say that it was a false statement, and then I have to go to a doctor on the 9th.
Okay.
And then after that, I have to, if that is all settled, I have to go to the office physically and
Okay.
tell them what's going on, because I already filed a complaint online, and that's pretty much all I did was file a complaint, was filled in the paperwork, and then did everything. But you know how they are. They're just,
Bureaucratic.
yeah. So I'm kind of stuck with this BS until, I don't know. I got to go into their office and actually fix it.
So what was their reason? Like when you filed, they said, hey, you're not going to get disability. Because that's crazy,
Yeah.
honestly.
So the reason why I didn't get disability was because I made like $1,000 over than what was allowed for someone to get disability.
Okay.
So it was never the disability part. It was, oh, you made a little bit too much money. Nah, we
Got
can't
it.
give it to you. Sorry. So that was like the only thing. But now when I filed that false claim because of what happened, now they're like, okay, well now we really have to know what's going on. So we have to figure out what's like, what are the like, what they have to go to the doctor that they prescribed and then figure out what they want and all that other crap. So I have to do a bunch of medical tests for them. It's not going to be fun.
Okay. At the
So-
same time.
Yeah, it's pretty crappy.
Okay.
It's going to be a crappy Wednesday, which will suck. So,
And then, so you're an educator, so like you went to school for that. Do you have undergrad, master's? Like what's the education that you have?
I have a master's degree in education, and I have a bachelor's in fine arts.
Okay.
So those are my things. And then I kind of was pursuing my doctorate, but now I'm not really pursuing that.
Okay.
Maybe I would if I have money, but I don't really have enough money to go back to school like that.
Okay.
That's the only thing.
So how do you feel, because you went to higher education as well, and you have graduate degrees, what's your like opinion on student debt? Like should the government be helping them with, helping you with it? Like do you have student debt?
I have plenty of student debt, Stephen. I have a lot. What the student debt, the debts that I have are like almost $300,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah, well that's
insane.
that is what it is, and the problem is that like I don't.
What?
Yeah, it's nuts. It's really nuts. It's my finances are just horrible. They're more broken than I am, and like I'm already like I look like what my finances are. So that's really what it is. And I can't stand student loan debt because it's like we have education from pre-K to like high school free, and then suddenly you want 4 years to get a degree and actually like pursue your calling, and now you're saddled with not just like $10,000. You're saddled with like $25,000 annually for 4 years.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's like trying to buy a new car every goddamn year, and then you have to pay that off. And mind you, like what is the 20-something-year-old going to do? What kind of job are they going to make?
Exactly.
Like, you're not going to be able to afford that. And then you're going to have to afford that every year for the next 4 years. And if you want to be like my retarded ass and go and get a master's, like a master's degree,
Yeah.
that's another, couple of years added to that. So you're just piling it on and piling it on. And then when you can't make those payments because, God forbid, you're sick or you lose your job, then they start adding on to that with surcharges, and now you're fucking screwed.
Yeah.
You're crippled before you even get the diploma. And then by the time you get the diploma, it's like, well, now you're overqualified for other things. So you can't even work in those positions that you wanted. So it's ridiculous. I don't understand why, but I know why. It's because of Reagan. Reagan put those, took away those services and put it in the private sector, and that's what we got.
Yep.
So that's the real problem. And I really can't stand the fact that, like, this is our norm, and I don't want it to be our norm anymore. It's fucking stupid, to be honest with you. It drives me crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
that's insane. You're like the poster child for like the failed system, almost.
Yeah, I'm broken. I'm all over the place, and nothing that I do makes sense. So that's another thing.
But at the same time, it's like you yourself, you've thrived. You've written like 13 books, right? You're an author.
During the pandemic, I did it during the pandemic because I wasn't going to go and get COVID doing comedy.
That's still something, though. A lot of people just did drugs during the pandemic. Like, you did something with your time.
Yeah, I mean, I could have just gone to a rooftop show and then bombed and then, take the expressway down by walking off the roof. But, like, why would I do that? It's just boring. Like, plus, the whole...
Bless you.
The whole notion of, like, keeping comedy alive during COVID was so insane to me. It drove me crazy. It's like, you don't know... You're asking people to go to a comedy show during an airborne virus, and then you're telling me that, like, oh, but we have to do this. We have to keep the art alive.
Yeah.
The art wasn't paying us, dude. It wasn't paying us shit. And then we're supposed to, what, keep these places alive?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
And then what if we get COVID, and then we die, and then who's going to pay our health insurance?
Yeah.
Because the health insurance isn't going to pay for our fucking health care, that's for sure. So, that's another thing.
Yeah. But you do have, I wanted to plug, like, you do have your first published book coming out, right?
Yeah.
When's it coming out? What's its title? What's it about?
It's Boy Meets Corpse. It comes out on July 19th.
Boy Meets Corpse. Okay.
Yeah, on my birthday. It's my own personal little birthday present.
That's sick.
Yeah, it's about a necrophiliac that digs up his high school sweetheart and then gets her pregnant, and then all hell breaks loose because he wants to, like, set things right for the new family that's coming. But he's fucking nuts. So
where can people, like, find it? It's on Amazon?
Yeah, it's going to be on Amazon, Google Books, and Apple Books, and Barnes & Noble Nook. I'm trying to, because it's self-published, I'm trying to get local bookstores to, like, hold it and, like, sell it. That's another thing I've been trying to do. It's funny because, like, I've been trying to get, like, local, like, mom and pop stores to do it, and then I talked to somebody at a Barnes & Noble in New Jersey, and they were like, oh, we can carry the book. It all depends on, like, I had a couple of, like, an hour conversation with the store manager and figured that shit out. But it's kind of interesting. The hardest part, though, is getting the book reviewed. Yeah. That's still the hardest part for me. I'm like, I just want a review. I don't care if it's good or bad. Just review the damn book. But, it is what it is. Yeah. But if people want to support you, they could buy the book. Yeah. They could help take away from your student debt. They can buy 300,000 disability. Yeah, 300. Hey, it's the power of the internet. You never know, man. Yeah. Oh, God. The government's not helping you with disability. They're not helping you with anything. They're not helping anybody. Not just me. They're not helping anybody. They're already cutting, Medicaid and Medicare, and they're already passing that bullshit of, like, oh, there's so much fraud everywhere. I love how, like, they go... Oh, the big, beautiful bill, yeah. Yeah, but, like, the thing is, like, there's already, like, in this system, right, there are things you can fix, right? You could fix some of the red tape that's involved, but you don't do that with a bazooka. You do that with a fucking scalpel. And they don't understand that. They just think, oh, we'll just burn everything to the ground. Okay, so you want to get rid of your, infestation of mice by burning your house down. Like, explain that to me. So, like, let's say you were, like,
in the government, you had the ability to like change some of these things, what's like one of the first things you would change?
Oh, I would get rid of like privatized student loans and just
Okay.
make it part of our federal system.
Like
And
it
make
used to be.
yeah, like it really did.
Yeah.
But even more so, like I would make state education free, and any privatized education has to have a cap limit of about literally five to like $4,000 annually. So that means if you want a 4-year degree, that's 4 times 4 would be $16,000, and that's not bad.
Hmm.
And that you can pay off, but like that's like putting a cap limit on private education tuition, and also that would include books, that would include any materials on top of that. It has to reach that cap of $4,000.
Yeah.
It can't be exceeding that, and that would be where I would start. The other thing too, I would fight for like getting those the money that was taken away from the Department of Education. The thing is that they've gutted Department of Education so badly
Yeah.
that it's going to take decades to fix it, to put it back to where it originally was.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I can't stand, is that like you gutted a whole system that instead of helping it, you flounder it. And like I don't know, I don't understand. I don't understand how like this is the way to fix a problem. Like it's like, oh, I need to save my marriage. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna hire a hooker on my wife's birthday, and I'm gonna have sex with her right in front of her.
Yeah.
Like that'll save my marriage. Like, what? What are you like? What is this logical, like illogical fucking lunacy that we have to deal with? And on top of that, it's like the fact that it's like Vince McMahon's wife or ex-wife
Right.
on top. It's like it's a joke. Like to Trump, it's a joke. It's all a joke. Like education's a joke, because he never actually did any work. He just hired some other dumbass to do the work for him. Like he's never done any fucking. You think
Yeah.
that guy wrote papers in college? Get the hell out of here. He never wrote a thing in his life.
Well, it seems like the funding too, it is shifting from like these institutions to like basically defense, ICE. We just hit $1 trillion budget for our Department of Defense.
We got our own American Gestapo. That's what we got. We got that for the cost of your
Good way to
health
put it.
care
Yeah.
and your education and your everything. We got ICE to be fully funded. But
Yeah.
don't worry, we also had Auschwitz in Florida too, so that's another fun. I wonder if they're gonna put "work will set you free" on the top of the gates of that place, like they did in there. Hey,
I'm
we
not
don't
sure.
have
But-
to go to Europe in order to see a massacre. We could just go here.
Maybe we'll see. But
Oh my God.
you said date. Actually, speaking of that, speaking of dating too, I wanted to ask you with dating. Apparently, like according to Lending Tree, there's 22% of millennials are going into debt over dating. How is it with dating with you? Do you feel like are you going into debt over dating? What's your experience been? Is it more expensive?
Not really. I mean, I don't. I mean, literally, I'll have waves of like, I'll be on an app for like a month, and then
Okay.
after a month, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take a break, and like take 2-3 months off, and then I'll be on something else. And I mean, I still use the free services until that's all gone. But
Yeah.
like, you just gotta figure out like what's really what app is nickel and diming you, and then just cut that out, or just stay with the free services there, and then move on to something that isn't as bad. Like, I don't know. Like, I used to get hits on Tinder, and now Tinder's like kind of dead. And now, now the big thing is like Hinge and Coffee Meets Bagel. Those are like the big ones now. But even that, I'm like, I'm not spending any money on that anymore.
You're
I'm
just
done.
cycling. It feels like everyone's just cycling through the same thing.
Well, the
over and
thing
over
is
again.
that it's so easy. It's so funny you say that, because like, love is a very good indicator of like how you spend money, right? So if you're desperate and alone and a degenerate, you're gonna spend that money on the dating apps. So I can't throw a stone at that, because like I'm in that retarded cycle. But you do have people that are desperate, that want, and that's funny because that's also the theme of my novel. You have
Boy Meets Corpse.
about a lunatic that just, he's desperate for love, and he'll do anything for love, even if it means doing some crazy shit that is obviously going to take him into prison. But like, no spoilers, so I'm not going to go further. But like I said before, it's like love is like it's so easy to say to people that like, oh, it's okay, you'll find the right one, and then you go in here, you go into a world that is almost to laissez-faire capitalist levels of like, we don't give a shit if you're poor, we don't want you here. Then you have the thing with ICE, you have the fact that it's racist as fuck, nobody cares.
Yeah.
It's ableist as well. If it's also ageist, so at a certain point we're not there, you and I, but you know, when the three of us get to a certain age, we're now going to be looked at as a hindrance as opposed to like an asset. And when that comes, that's going to be, you know, you can't be disabled in like a capitalist system. It just doesn't work, because in a capitalist system, it's all about moving the product, making sure that the product is constantly moving and feeding. It's a give and take demand. And then you hire a disabled person to that corporation or that front. They're not going to put him in the production line, or her, because you're going to hinder the product of being moved forward. And that's like the kiss of death for any business. You don't do that.
Yeah.
So that's the other issue too, is like, it sucks, but like this is the country that we live in now.
True. So where do you feel like you fit into this system as a disabled person?
You don't fit anywhere. You get disability, but with disability you have to.
You don't get disability.
I know.
That's
you
crazy.
don't. I know people
That's
that are.
insane,
No, it's
Yeah.
this gets worse. It's like, even if you're on disability, you have to stay within a certain income bracket. So you can't even get out of poverty. You have to stay within poverty. So you have to basically be poorer than a homeless person to continue to get your your disability benefits. And God forbid you want to better yourself and like have a real job that pays you a livable salary and have all these benefits that you think, then it's like, oh, well, now you can't have it. Motherfucker, I'm still crippled. Like, I don't have arms. It's not like these are going to grow anytime soon. Like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, who's going to help me do this or do that? Like, oh, no. You have money. You can hire a person. It's like, I can't just throw money at problems and then say, oh, it's done. Oh, because I'm making $37,000, I'm suddenly like no longer crippled in the eyes of the, of the government or of the program. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
It's so fucking stupid. And they don't want to change that. They just think that, oh, well, those are just, people that don't want to work and they're lazy. And that's ableist as shit. And I can't stand that shit, because anybody could go through a traumatic thing and then they can't work. Like, anybody could be crippled. You can cross the street and some guy clips you, and now you can't work in your normal job.
Yeah.
Now what do? Oh, wait, now you can't afford your rent, because before, when you were working, you had the ability to pay for rent. Now you can't, because some guy just clipped you and took your legs.
Yeah.
So now what are you going to do? How are you going to make money then? Oh, I'm going to work, I'm going to have my pension, I'm going to have this. Yeah, but that does not cover your rent. That doesn't cover the cost of living in New York City or in any other city in the United States, because you can't have, you literally can't use disability to pay rent and groceries and clothes off your back in any city in the United States.
Yeah.
You're basically, you're living paycheck to paycheck. You got to decide, do I want
not even
food?
Your paycheck.
Yeah.
It's government.
Yeah. And the government don't want to give you any more. They think that after a certain while, all right, you're done. It's insane to me. It drives me crazy. And the fact that, like, this is our norm, it just gets me so angry.
Yeah.
Like, nothing changes, and then we're because of the misinformation cycle that's been happening, and because of social media, people have less and less attention spans. They're not really paying attention. They're not focusing on what's actually going on. They're blaming immigrants. They're blaming, this side, that side of it. They're not focusing on, like, oh, wait, this issue is because these politicians want this gone.
Yeah.
And they don't want to fix it. They just want to cut it and move on.
People are upset and they want something to blame, and they want to pick like one thing.
No.
When it's nebulous. But yeah, I agree.
They're going to pick what? They're going to pick a minority group, and that's what they'll do. They'll find a scapegoat in the minority group. In the 1930s and 40s, it was Jews, and now it's Hispanics.
Yeah.
So this is what they're going to do, and they're going to throw them in that damn Florida Alcatraz thing, and they're going to
Yeah,
call it a
whatever.
day. But,
Yeah.
that's just going to commit a mass genocide. And these people are, it's going to be bad, dude. Because then, what starts with that? Once you start throwing people in that kind of situation, the only other option to go is to go full on, like saying, oh, this person's an immigrant when they're actually like a citizen born here, Like
Yeah.
I'm a born and raised citizen, but I'm also Hispanic. So anybody could be like, oh, well, there's an illegal immigrant right there. I'll just throw his ass in. And the fact that like the government could just take you and throw you to places like South Sudan, I just thought was like hilarious. It's like you're not even from South Sudan. Like why would you send people to a place like there
Yeah.
and then not be able
I'm
to?
not sure.
Like that's insanity. Absolute craziness.
So, yeah, I mean, you're talking about just as an educator too, um, maybe talking about just the cost of living crisis.
Mm.
Do you feel like it's gotten a lot more expensive just to live day to day? You're in New Jersey, like we're in New York. Like, do you feel that too in New Jersey?
Yeah, the cost of living is incredibly, incredibly high. But that's because you have all these morons that like raise the rent and
Yeah.
they give the contract of the land to these people that just they don't care about the poor. They just want to raise the rent and not care, and they have their money and call it a day. But I just feel like if you can't provide livable housing to citizens, that's why we have a homeless crisis across the country.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do about that? And by the way, like half of those homeless people are veterans. So what are you going to do when,
Yeah.
when we have more wars and these guys come home and they can't handle, oh, you gotta fill out this form to do it, and they're fucking PTSD,
Yeah.
through the roof. What are you going to do then?
Yeah.
How are you going to take care of these people? Oh, wait, there are no systems to take care of these people. They're going to have to do it on their own. And that's just sad. And that, I don't know. I mean, yesterday was the 4th of July, but I didn't feel very patriotic about it because it was like,
Yeah,
what's
me
the
too.
point? What's the point? Like Trump
too.
wants to do a UFC fight inside of the White House lawn. Do you know how like
I didn't know that. Is that true?
yeah, he wanted to do it. He wanted to do
Yeah.
it, but then I don't know, somebody talked him out of it.
Well, I wanted to ask you then, because the day before,
Mm.
on the 3rd, the big, beautiful bill, as it's so called, passed. So, like, what do you think about this new bill that's passed for, tax bill? What's your thoughts on it?
It's just a bill to kill cripples and kill, any kind of, there's no empathy in that bill. There's absolutely no empathy for anybody. So it's just kill them all so that way people that make over $50,000 can get richer. Okay. So then
Yeah.
what are you going to do when you can't make that 50,000? What do you do if somebody is like a drug addict that's making that kind of bracket? What are the services they're going to get?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, they don't have those services because you cut all those services. And what happens if somebody is in that tax bracket, right, and then suddenly they get knocked down a peg to my level of like they lost their limbs and now they can't work in that sector anymore? Like, what do you do then? Or it gets worse when they have like an intellectual disability because
Yeah.
of their injury. What do you do then? How do you provide for those people? Oh, wait, you can't because all those services are gone. So what do you do then? They're going to have to live on the street if they don't have anybody else. And then you're going to have the same old complaint. Oh, there's too many crazy people outside. It's like, yeah, well, now there's nothing to do. There's nothing to give these people.
Yeah.
And what's next? Like, what is next? Like,
Yeah.
I just feel like everything about this is just a nightmare. Because it's getting to a point where the ideology of I have mine, fuck you, is their whole mentality. And that is so dangerous on so many levels because once you're dead, there's really nothing. Like, we're all going to die and we can't go with our fortune.
Nope.
So the idea of just saying, well, I have my money and I'm going to give it to my children. Okay. But then what happens if they're all dead? What happens if if their children don't really like you? What happens if all this stuff? But they don't see that. They just think, oh, I want my money and that's it.
Yeah. And what kind of world are we really leaving for the kids, basically? It's like you can be doing well, but if the world is on fire, That's not great.
You know,
And I had a question actually to circle back to, because education and like your own student debt, I thought educators, they had student loans forgived over time. I know friends who are teachers who are in that program. Like, how does that work for people unfamiliar?
I haven't really done that program,
Okay.
mainly because I was busy just trying to get my license,
Okay.
and really just going for the doctorate was like the main goal, because like at the time I needed to pass the praxis, and I couldn't get somehow I couldn't beat the math praxis. I took it so many times, but I failed it numerous times. And this is my level of thinking, is like, well, if I get a doctorate, I can bypass that and just get the license. But the thing is that you do that, you saddle up with more debt than what you originally had. So now it's like a good chunk, about a third of that 300,000 was from the doctorate. So you know what I'm saying? Like, I had to make a deal with the devil. And again, like, this is the kind of shit that if you didn't have a privatized student loan system, you wouldn't have this issue of like having to make that deal and then be like, okay, then I'll get a job. But like, you get a job as a teacher now, what's your starting salary? Is it even enough to cover a third of that? No.
What is the starting salary?
In New Jersey?
Yeah.
About 60 to 70,000, but
Yeah.
that's like, I have a master's degree.
Yeah.
So I can just imagine what that's going to be for somebody that just has a bachelor's, because in New Jersey, you just need a bachelor's.
Yeah.
In New York, you need a master's degree in order to be a teacher.
Yeah.
But in New Jersey, you just need a bachelor's.
Yeah.
But I got my master's because I thought, well, I'll get my teaching license in New Jersey and then I'll just have it reciprocated over in New York. That was my level of thinking.
Yeah.
But life happens, a pandemic happens, and then, you know, shit just goes nuts.
So I wanted to ask too, like, what does the school system look like? Like, you're on the inside now, especially post-pandemic. Like, how are kids getting educated? What is it?
It's tough, man. It's not easy for teachers at all.
Yeah.
Everyone, like I said, it's this whole, I think social media has poisoned everybody's brains. And in many ways, COVID really did a number on certain people. You know, that's when the conspiracy theorists had a free-for-all, and those kinds of things, they ruin people's psyche. And then you get to this point where COVID kind of forced, like, parents to see what teachers were working with. And instead of, like, going, oh, man, this sucks, maybe we can help, they were like, no, this is terrible, I want all this gone. And it's like, dude, like, first of all, we're already working with, like, limited resources. And then on top of that, they don't have any respect. Like, teachers just get no respect whatsoever. And, like, it's insane to me. Like, they're serving a common good.
Yeah.
They're, like, they're helping the community. And then they get about as much respect as, like, a janitor in a fucking building. It's insane. Like, actually, like, some people have more respect for a freaking cop than they do for a teacher, and I can't stand that. It's like, so, like, I don't know, it just irks me, because I know plenty of teachers that work their asses off, and they don't get any kind of respect, and they don't get any kind of reward for it. They have to just get the shit that they get and then have it make sense by the end. It's like, have the results be better than last year. And it's like, how? If I keep cutting, like, funding and stuff and, like, taking things away, and then I keep telling you, make this work, it's like, how do you make things work? How do you float a boat with holes in it? Like, that's what you're basically asking people to do. And it's insane.
Yeah.
I
was going to say, like, I mean, obviously money is needed in the Department of Education, but beyond money, like, what do you think the education system needs to be successful right now?
Well, the one thing that it does need is it needs funding to go through and help these teachers get the resources that they need. They need to have a tracking system for the money, and so that way it's not just being sent to different departments without it getting to the people that it needed the most. The other thing, too, is that you also have to look at a lot of, like, my biggest concern is when people say school choice. School choice is dangerous. It's absolutely dangerous. It's just it's a dog whistle for sexism, racism, homophobia, and ableism. It's just awful. Because what these people do is they take the banner of like parents having the right to look after their child, but they poison it by going, well, we don't want our child in shitty educational schools. We want them to have the choice. It's like, yeah, but what you're proposing would be we take the framework of what's happening in our higher education system and put it down to the pre-K to high school level. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is basically saying to these kids, you're going to be saddled with a $25,000 annual debt for your grammar school years, your high school years, and sometimes even your pre-K years. So before you even hit college, you're going to be, what, over $1 million in debt? And then how are you going to pay that off? With the cost of living, the fact that the minimum wage hasn't risen at all to match like our well, what do you call it? Because I'm not very good with.
I mean, I would say just cost of living. Yeah, like
it doesn't match it. So then, what are you proposing is student choice? Like, it's school choice. Like, school choice is not a choice. School choice is racism. It's basically saddling you with debt.
Classism.
Yeah, absolute classism, and it just drives me crazy because it's like people just think, well, no, I'm a parent. I know what I'm doing. It's like, no, you don't, because. Parents think that they know what they're doing. Like parents will say, I don't want my child to learn that. But, you don't hire a plumber and then go, well, you don't know what you're doing. I know how to fix my own leak. Well, then why did you fucking hire me? If you know so much, then why don't you become the teacher? And, half the thing is that when you have these, like, my brain is blanking, but, like, the
Helicopter parents? Like that?
Not helicopter parents, but it's like you're homeschooled.
Okay, yeah.
Homeschool programs basically come from religious right programs.
I didn't know that.
That is a problem because we need to have a full federal overview of that and have that under our control, because a lot of these people are taking advantage of that. Plus, I just don't agree with the fact that school choice is just, for me, it just drives me crazy. I hate hearing that word. I hate when parents are like, no, I have a right to my own child. It's almost like a slave master claiming their own slave. You know what I'm saying? No, this is my property. This is not yours. This is, but I thought it was a child. I thought the child had their own identity, their own agency. And now you're claiming that they're not worth it, that they're under my roof, they're under my tutelage. So, okay, so then what do you do now? So you don't want them to learn LGBTQIA. Okay, what about Black History Month? Is that cool? Oh, no, that's not okay? Okay, what do you want to do then?
Yeah.
What's going to be cut for these kids?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, what are you gonna tell these kids? If you're gonna cut it if you want it cut from the school system, then how are you gonna explain to these kids what it means to have gender identity, or what it means to be have racial inequality in America? Are you just gonna bulldoze that and be like, no, it's you see it's the Democrats or it's this or that, and it's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Is that, sorry, because I don't have kids and I'm not in the school system, is that a big thing that's being taught? Like gender identity, is that something that's in the school system? Because that is a big point of contention.
It's sort of it comes up during the months that it comes up. Like Women's History Month comes up in March.
Okay.
Black History Month comes up in February.
Right.
We just passed Pride Month.
Right.
So it comes when it comes up. But the thing that I'm trying to say is that why can't schools talk about these things? Why does it have to be a specific month?
I see.
Why does again why does it have to be a specific week, or why does it have to be this thing where schools can't just openly discuss these things without it having to be a problem from a homophobic parent or whatever, or a sexist parent?
I understand. Yeah.
And that to me is the problem, and that's what makes everybody so that's what makes teachers scared, is that they don't want to get a jackass parent to oh, I don't want my child to learn that. It's They're gonna learn it out regardless, whether it's in the home or outside.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So I think we're nearing time on this, but I also wanted to ask you, because it's pretty big right now, is like with artificial intelligence and AI, do you think it's going to be like a net positive, a net negative for humanity? What's your opinion on AI so far?
I don't know. I think at the moment with people using it to like, I don't like it when kids use it to write papers or like when students use it to write papers because I
Yeah.
feel like you're cheating yourself more than anybody. You're cheating yourself. But the thing is, in certain cases, AI is good. In certain cases, AI is bad. AI art is bad.
Yeah.
AI writing is bad. But if it could be used for other services, it could possibly be a net positive. Right now, it's neutral. And I think wasn't there like a lawsuit with Disney over
I'm
like
not sure.
The Simpsons being used as an AI thing?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, but
Do you see like a lot of kids using AI already?
I I only know one kid that used it, and that was it.
Yeah.
That was like the big talk of like, oh, we can't have this, and
Yeah.
we can't have. But that was like one incident before it was before I left. But it's probably more rampant in the college levels. And by the way, like there was like I read a report about like a professor using it to make a syllabus, and I'm like, that's hilarious. So you use it to make your syllabus, and then you're telling people not to use it. Like, I don't know.
It is ironic. Yeah.
It's just very dumb,
Yeah.
and I'm just so tired of it. I'm
Yeah.
tired of this. I'm more tired of like. I'm not mad at the AI stuff. I'm mad at the fact that we're going to be saddling students with like the debt that I have or more.
Yeah.
And that's insane.
And it starts earlier and earlier now.
Well,
Yeah.
if school, that's the thing. We don't want school choice. Like I personally feel like I'm raising the alarm bells for school choice because a lot of people think that it's packaged in a way to tell people it's you're the parent, you have
Yeah.
a choice. But that's the Trojan horse. That's the Trojan horse of this whole thing. It's not. It's not your choice. It is going to be whatever the school decides to charge your ass with.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you something. In this country, we have religious schools, and those you got to pay tuition. Those are not cheap.
Yep.
And
Private.
imagine if that's every single school in the country. You're going to isolate the poorest of the poor from education. That is an enormous problem. Like, enormous. That's like a human rights violation at that point.
Yeah.
Because if somebody from like bumfuck Mississippi can't afford to read a book or learn how to read or do basic mathematics, you got a big problem.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's just it's crazy.
Is there any positive ways that you think AI can be implemented, like with kids or in the school system?
Or even in your life.
Or even in your life?
I mean, AI. If AI can grow arms, that'd be amazing. But it's not going to. But the other, they'll probably fuck that up too, and then I'm gonna be like, God, this is not what I wanted. I got 2 left arms, but what am I gonna do? I don't know. Maybe it could be used to like maybe city planning, like planning out like a center, like or make like a walkable kind of city, like turn a city that was all cars into a walkable city.
Yeah.
That would be great, but I don't know if it's possible at the moment. Right now, it's just used for bullshit, and anything that's used for bullshit, I'm like, get this away from me.
Yeah.
I'm not here to play games or play with toys and shit like that. It's just nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just what it is,
Yeah.
And I'm more mad than anything else about like how our education went from bad to like worse, and it's going to be even worse
Yeah.
in a few years' time. Like in less than a year's time, it's going to get a lot worse.
There's been quite a few things in this country recently, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, and I'm so over like this the whole Trump administration's notion of like getting rid of the Department of Education.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you get rid of the Department of Education, right? What'll happen to like states like Mississippi or Oklahoma or Alabama where they're the poorest states in our union. They don't have like what New York has.
Right.
They don't even have what Florida has.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or even Texas, because they're so poor. They don't have those resources. They don't have that income.
Yeah.
No one's flocking to Mississippi.
No.
And no one's flocking to Alabama unless you're talking college football.
Yeah.
But they're not going to give money to the school. They're going to give money to the stadium.
Yep. And that's all private.
Yep. And that's not going to the students.
No.
That's not going to the teachers. That's not going anywhere but into the pockets of the higher ups in the university.
That's right.
So what do you do then? And what do you do about Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Who's practically dead last in education in the entire nation.
The same there.
Like, you cut the Department of Education. You cut the Department of Education, then there's no union, there's nothing. They have to. It's a right to work state.
Yeah.
Yo, you're bugging. You're bugging. I'm supposed to what? Work in Oklahoma for 20 grand?
Yeah.
Like, get out of here. Like, you're not getting anybody but like the desperate of desperate. And even then, they're not going to, like, they're going to need 2 or 3 more jobs. So they're going to be worked out, like, they're going to work basically to the bone for nothing. To make just 1 month's salary. And then a tornado's going to take that away, and then they're not going to have a house anymore.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much what happens in Oklahoma.
We gotta reach the kids. And to reach the kids, you can do it through Chris.
Oh, God, no.
You can, Your new book is coming out on July 17th.
19th.
July 19th.
Yeah, my birthday.
Happy birthday, Chris. Boy Meets Corpse. Thank you. Thank you for telling us a little bit about your life. We appreciate it, man.